This is your whiteboard brief for Thursday, April 23rd. For our strength, we have 3 rounds of glute bridges, frog pumps, and weighted sumo squat. Your glute bridges and frog pumps can be body weight or with weight today. Before starting the Metcon today, we have a 3-minute AMRAP of cook squats. Our Metcon today consists of 3 4-minute AMRAPs. All of your AMRAPs are couplets today, meaning that there are 2 movements. The first AMRAP is 10 dumbbell thrusters and a 50-meter run. After that AMRAP, you'll rest 2 minutes and move to the second one. The second AMRAP is 10 goblet squats and 5 burpees. Once again, you'll do that for 4 minutes, rest for 2, and then move on to your last AMRAP, which is 10 dumbbell squat cleans and a 50-meter run. Keep in mind, the movements today can be done with barbell or dumbbells. We're going to end today with 2 rounds of 90-90 hip rotations. You'll do 6 and then happy baby pose for 30 seconds. Hi guys, today for our strength we have 3 rounds of glute bridges, frog pumps, and weighted sumo squat. So the first 2 movements you guys can do body weight or with weight. And I'll show you guys both versions. So we're gonna start with the glute bridge. I'm gonna show you just the body weight version. If you guys don't have anything that you're comfortable kind of placing on top of your hips here, also if you don't have a mini band, just go over some general guidelines of what we want in our glute bridge today. So we wanna have our feet planted on the ground. Depending on where you feel this more, I know some people don't really get a lot out of this if, per se, they have a narrower stance with their toes forward. You can try, if you're not feeling that, you can try going a little bit wider than hip width apart and letting your toes point out a little bit, kind of like a sumo deadlift versus a traditional deadlift. So play with it, see which one you feel more. Regardless of which option you choose, we want about a 90-degree angle in our legs here. So I don't want to be too far out. That's going to turn more into like a hamstring hold. So make sure you're kind of playing with the distance as well. I personally like to go about hip width apart, toes forward. Now from here, regardless of what version you're doing today, when you press your hips up to the ceiling, you want to get full hip extension, and you also want to take a second to really connect your mind to your glutes. So when you're squeezing your glutes, I want you to really think about making that connection. So I don't want to just go through the motion here. Okay, I really want to press up, squeeze my glutes, think about my hips opening up in the front, and I want to feel this before I bring my hips back down. Now for some of you, you may not feel anything until you do about 5 to 8 reps, but really just keep doing the same thing, press up, take a second to squeeze everything as you come up, okay? Make sure your heels stay planted on the ground, whatever version you do. Of course, if you guys have a mini band, you can throw a mini band on. So what the mini band adds is that resistance, okay? So anytime we put a mini band on, we're always trying to fight that tension, okay? So we're trying not to let our knees cave in, especially in between reps. So a lot of times I'll see you guys doing the glute bridges with the mini bands, and you'll press up, and when you come back down, you let your knees cave in. Okay, so the entire time with that mini band, you're fighting the tension and driving your knees out, okay? So this is gonna bring in another element of just getting some more work out of it for today, okay? If you do have a weight that you are comfortable placing on top of you, definitely put something on top that can give you some cushion so it's not so much on your hips. I have a 35-pound dumbbell here. I'm gonna keep my band on just because I have it. And then we're just adding more resistance here, okay? So place your hand behind whatever object you have. Make sure it stays in that same spot as you go through and do your glute bridges, okay? You can place a kettlebell across your hips. You can place a sandbag, a heavy plate. You can even do barbell glute bridges today. But we have 20 reps to do. After that, we'll get into our frog pump. Okay, so frog pump. We're gonna sit butterfly style, almost like we're starting a butterfly sit-up. We're gonna lay back so our shoulders are on the ground. And then from here, we're gonna squeeze our glutes and lift our hips off the ground. Okay, body weight frog pumps are fine for today. You have 30 reps, or same thing if you have an object that you feel comfortable laying across your hips to add some more resistance, you can do that. Okay, so I'm gonna put my 35 pounder back on here, get into that butterfly position, pressing up and down with those frog pumps. Okay, if you guys want to get more range of motion, you can throw a yoga block or something like that that'll elevate your feet up. So basically, as you go up and down, you're working with a little bit deeper range of motion. Okay, so you'll do 30 frog pumps, and then we have our weighted sumo squat. You guys can pick whatever weight you want to use today as far as object, kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell even today. But let me explain the difference between a sumo squat and a sumo deadlift. Okay, the main thing is going to be that my torso stays vertical. Okay, so I'll show you guys a few from the front and then from the side. So I'm gonna get into my sumo stance, which will be wider than shoulder width apart. Toes are pointing out, okay? I'm gonna grip the ground with my feet, really focusing on driving my knees out. Okay, I'll kind of deadlift my weight up first to start. And from here, I'm dropping straight down. Torso stays vertical, driving my knees out over my toes. Remember, we don't ever want our knees to be caving in on this. Okay, show you a few from the side. Once again, keeping my chest up and keeping my back extended. Just so you guys can see for reference, this would be a sumo deadlift, which is not what we're doing today. So on a sumo deadlift, I'd let my hips go back, chest come forward. Sumo squat, keeping our chest up, okay? You guys should feel this in your adductors and in your glutes. Okay, so you'll have 20 reps there, resting as needed, and we're gonna go through for 3 rounds today. Okay guys, before we get into our Metcon today, we're gonna run through a 3-minute AMRAP, just knocking out some cook squats to make sure you guys are ready for all the squatting that we're gonna be doing on our Metcon today. So remember, for cook squats, that's 3 parts, and you guys can go as slow as you want with these today. I just really want you to feel the stretch as you're going through. Remember, the first part is gonna be hooking under your toes, and I'm thinking about driving my hips up to the ceiling. I'm feeling a stretch in my hamstrings back here. And then I'm gonna drop down into that yoga squat. If you find that your heels come up off the ground, just go into a wider squat stance. Okay, driving your knees out hard here. Take a second to feel the stretch. Then you'll reach one arm up at a time and then stand. Okay, you guys are just gonna cycle through that for 3 minutes to get ready for the Metcon. When you are ready for the Metcon, we have 3 different 4-minute AMRAPs, okay? Each AMRAP is a couplet, meaning there's 2 movements in it. And in between each AMRAP, we're gonna rest for 2 minutes. Okay, so plenty of recovery time today. The first 4-minute AMRAP is a dumbbell thruster. Okay, so remember, this is a 2-part movement, but I want you guys to connect them and be fluid. So breaking it down, it's basically a front squat into a push press. But I don't want you guys to actually do a front squat push press. I want it to be fluid, okay? So you'll start with the dumbbells at the shoulders. You're gonna grip the ground with your feet. Stay under tension when you squat down. Don't get loosey-goosey with it and fold forward. So stay under tension, stand up, and press. Okay? Really use that momentum from your hips extending, hips extending to stand up and punch above head. Remember, when we're going above head, we want to land with our arms straight and fully active and next to our ears, okay? I'm not punching up like that, okay? So you'll have 10 dumbbell thrusters. You can also do that with a dumbbell or a barbell today. And then you have a 50-meter run. If you have no idea where 50 meters is, just kind of pick an area before we get started. Then it takes about 20 to 30 seconds to run to and from, okay? So the first AMRAP, 10 dumbbell thrusters, 50-meter run back and forth for 4 minutes. When you're done with that one, you're gonna rest for 2 minutes. Second AMRAP is 10 goblet squats. Once again, this can be done with a dumbbell, kettlebell. You can do a front squat with a barbell. But basically, for doing the goblet position, we're gonna hold our dumbbell or kettlebell here close to the chest. Remember, it is not resting on the shoulder. That is not a goblet squat hold, so that wouldn't be what we're doing today. So holding it here in front of the chest, once again, you're gonna grip the ground with your feet, stay under tension, get down into that below parallel squat. Okay, so we'll do 10 goblet squats, and then we have 5 burpees. Okay, so remember with burpees, if you're doing a prescribed one, chest and thighs touch the ground, stand up and clap above head. Okay, you'll do your 5 burpees, then go back to your 10 goblet squats, back and forth for another 4 minutes. Our last AMRAP today is 10 dumbbell squat cleans and another 50-meter run, okay? Squat cleans can once again be done with a barbell if you don't have dumbbells. Okay, so remember with our dumbbell clean, I would rather you guys do hang clean instead of trying to do a power clean from the ground with your back rounded, okay? So if you have to round your back to pull from the ground, you will go from a hang position today. Okay, so what the squat clean should look like is tapping one side of the dumbbell, pulling up the body, dropping underneath, back down. Okay, so from the front, you'll notice that my feet start a little bit narrower, then I'm hopping and landing wider in my squat, okay? So once again, that looks like this. Tap, pull, drop, stand. Okay, 10 dumbbell squat cleans, going back out for another 50-meter run, or about 20 to 30 seconds of running. You'll do that for 4 minutes, and then we are done with the Metcon. Okay guys, our finisher for today is gonna be 2 rounds of 90-90 hip rotations and happy baby pose. So we're gonna do 6 90-90 rotations to start. So remember, we're striving to get our front leg and our back leg in that 90-degree angle at the knee. Also, my foot is flexed, okay? Standing tall, you can have your arms on the ground for assistance, or you can attempt to do this today without getting any stabilization from your arms. I'm going to attempt to do one without my arms. So we're gonna start by taking that back leg, okay? And I'm picking that up. I'm planting my foot, and then my front leg starts to move. Okay, so that's one. I'm gonna put my hands out for the next one, okay? So back leg starts, I start picking that knee up. I'm trying to keep my left leg on the ground until it absolutely has to move. So at this point, my foot's planted. Now I can start moving the other one. Nice and slow, you guys will move through these. Just make sure if you fall out of that 90-90 position that you're resetting before you start, okay? That was 2 reps, we'll do 6 total. And then when you're done with your 6 90-90 rotations, we're gonna get into happy baby pose. So you're going to lay down on the ground, knees can kind of fall to your chest. You're gonna grab your ankles. Some of you guys may even be able to grab onto your feet here, but I'm gonna grab onto my ankles. That way I'm able to press the small of my back into the ground and then pull my legs apart, okay? So if I reach up to my feet, yeah, I can touch them, but now I'm unable to get the small of my back down on the ground. Okay, if I go a little bit lower with my hold, I can still open up and then press the small of my back on the ground, okay? Shoulder blades are also driving into the ground, okay? This is gonna help open up the hips a lot. You'll hold for 30 seconds, and then we'll go back through 6 90-90 hip rotations, and then another 30 seconds of happy baby pose. If you guys have time today, you can even throw in a 3rd round in doing this.